This video is for Chapter 20. I feel like most of Chapter 20 is fairly self-explanatory, except for when it comes to figuring equivalent units for materials and equivalent units for conversion. On your screen, I have pulled a sample problem from the textbook, and I'm going to show you how to do this. This part is the wording from the text. Okay, so I just typed that in from the textbook. This part down here is what we're going to fill out. All of these problems will have this same setup right here. Beginning work in process, started and completed, completed, and ending work in process. One of the hardest things about this is trying to figure out of all that wording, where do those numbers go? All right, so it says that the Savannah Lotion Company had 3,000 ounces in beginning work in process. So it does say that they are 60% complete, but with all of your material problems, you are going to assume that materials are added at the beginning. Okay, so this 3,000 ounces, you're just going to ignore that. You're going to ignore that 60%. So you're going to put 3,000 ounces in beginning work in process. All right, that means that those units were started last period and we're going to finish them now. So that's why they're in beginning work in process, is because they've already been started. We just were not able to finish them. All right, then it says during the period 40,400 ounces were completed. That comes down to the completed line. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they want to put it as started and completed, and there is a difference between started and completed. I'm going to put a line in there to show you that we're going to have to do some math. All right, so if you have 3,000 in the beginning and you were able to complete 40,400, if I subtract those two, that gives me 37,400. That has to be the number of units that you started and completed in order to get to completed. So if you take, I've got 3,000 in the beginning, I started and completed 37,400, I was able to complete 40,400. So on every one of these problems, they're going to give you beginning and completed, and you have to subtract to get started and completed. And then our last thing here is it says that during the ending work in process was 600 ounces. So that goes right here. And then as far as the rest of this, you're just going to add this, and that gives me 41,000 units. And these are whole units. What that means is these are units that we're accounting for whether they are completed or not. The purpose of doing this is so that you can tell how many units are actually completed when it comes to material costs. All right, so let's start with beginning work in process. Like I said, these units were started last period, and we're going to finish them now. So if materials were added at the beginning of the process, they would have gotten all their materials when they were started last period. So now we're going to do 0%. We're not going to give them any more because they got all their materials when they started. All right, started and completed. Well, we started them this month and completed them this month. So they're getting 100% of their materials this month. The next line down is just a math line, so we're going to skip that. Okay, the ending work in process, 600 units, we are assuming those ending numbers are what was started this month and will be finished later. So if they were started now, we would have given them their materials now. So that gets 100%. Now in this book, when you're doing materials, it will be 0, 100, 100 every single time. All right, so 3,000 times 0 is 0. 37,400 times 100% would be 37,400. You just do the math. Whoops, I did that on the wrong line, sorry. You're going to do the math. This is 37,400. And then 600 times 100% is 600. And so when I add that, that's going to give me 38,000. So 41,000 were the units that we could account for that were completed or not. But we feel like 38,000 really are the number of units that are complete as according to their materials. So if we spent $100,000 on materials, we would divide that up amongst 38,000 units. Okay, now I'm going to take this thing here and I'm going to copy it because it won't change if I'm doing the same problem. All right, now I'm going to do, let me write this on here. This is for materials. All right, now the second thing that we're going to do, this is for conversion. All right, conversion includes labor and overhead. Those are the two things that are accounted for when we talk about conversion. Now, conversion costs are not added at the beginning like materials were, so we're going to have to account for those a little differently. So what I need you to do is just take a look at this. We're going to use the same problem. This is for materials, this is for conversion. Okay, it said that those 3,000 ounces were 60% complete in our reading. All right, that 60% complete meant for conversion that they got 60% of their conversion costs at the beginning. So we have to decide, so what I want you to do when you think about this is, okay, those 3,000 units were 60% complete. What do I need to do to finish them? So I'm going to give them 40%. They got 60 when they were last period. They're getting 40 now. They'll get 100%. All right, once again, this line is the started and completed line, and it is always going to be 100% because it was started and completed in the same time period. All right, the 600 ounces in the reading up above said that they were 25% complete. In order to think about this, once again, these were started this month, but we were not able to finish them. And so those 600 units or 25% complete, how much of their conversion costs do they have? So they have 25%. All right, so then you just do the math. 3,000 times 40% gives me 1,200. 37,000, whoops, sorry, 37,000, oh my gosh, keep hitting the wrong key. 37,400. And then I'm going to add those two together. Put my little line in here, and 600 times 25% is 150, and then I'm going to do that math plus this one, and that gives me, put my little line in, and so that gives me 38,750. So that kind of concludes what I want to talk about. I find that students have a real problem distinguishing between materials and conversion. On materials, once again, it's always going to be 0, 100, 100. On conversion, the top one is going to be the difference in 100% minus what has already been completed. So 100% minus 60 gave us 40. Started and completed is always 100. And the ending work in process is always the percent that's given, and then you just multiply across. One of the other things that students have trouble with is that 40,400, they want to put that on started and completed. Make sure you put that on completed and then subtract to get that. So if you have any questions, please let me know.